and I listen to hours of it every day. And it just, I mean, you just, and, I realized when I first came to Krishna consciousness, many years ago, one of the gurus said, well, we've worked for years to build up this movement and you just come along and enjoy it. And I realized that I am, in fact, just, a spoiled kid who always got everything. And I've never really done any service, but I'm so thankful to all these devotees that worked so hard and struggled and had malaria and had to bathe in the cold and fight with the gundas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Henry Prabhu. Can you put the link in the chat? That audiobook. Okay, the speaker is here. Hare Krishna Anupama Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining the call. The floor is
Right.
now yours. Would you like me to put the verse in the chat?
Sure.
It's
Or,
it's
or,
1084 2 through 9.
or I can,
1084 2 through 9.
looks like I can share my screen too. Let me see. Okay.
1084 2 through 9. Okay, we're live on YouTube for the humanity at large. Good
Great.
morning, YouTube people. Hare Krishna. Henry, please put that in the chat. Link to the book. You don't have it? Where do you listen? Mail us at the city. Mail the disc. Okay, Anupam Prabhu, the floor is yours. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Can everybody see my screen? The Bhagavatam? Okay, great. So, Om Adgyanatamranandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. So, please forgive my tardiness. I had a brain fart, I suppose is the best way to describe it. But here we are, 1084, 2 through 5, and then we'll go all the way up to 9. So I'll run through the Sanskrit up until the last verse, the 9th verse, and then we can do some call and response. Iti sambhashamano stribhi strishu nirbhirnishu ayayor munayastatra Krishna Rama Dudrikshaya Dvaipayano Naradascha Javano Devalosita Vishvamrita Shatanando Bharadwajo Tagautamaha Ramasashishya Bhagavan Vasishto Galavo Bhrigu Pulastya Kashyapo Trishcha Markandeyo Brihaspati Tvitastritas Chakantascha Brahmaputrasta Tangira Agastyo Yagyavalkyascha Vamadevadayo Pare. Translation. As the women thus talked among themselves, and the men among themselves, a number of great sages arrived there, and all of them eager to see Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. They included Dvaipayana, Narada, Chavana, Devala, and Asita, Vishvamrita, Shatananda, Bharadwaj, and Gautama, Lord Parashuram and his disciples, Vasishta, Galava, Bhrigu, Pulastya, and Kashyapa, Atri, Markandeya, and Brihaspati, Dvita, Trita, Ekata, and the 4 Kumaras, and Angira, Agastya, Yagyavalkya, and Vamadev. Text 6. Tandrishtra sahasotaya prag asina nripadayaha Pandava Krishna Ramocha Pranamor Vishwavanditan. As soon as they saw the sages approaching, the kings and other gentlemen who had been seated immediately stood up, including the Pandava brothers and Krishna and Balaram. They all then bowed down to the sages, who are honored throughout the universe. Text 7. Lord Krishna. Han anarchur yata sarve saha ramo chuto rachat svagat asanapadyargya malyadu panulepanai. Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and the other kings and leaders properly worshipped the sages by offering them words of greeting, sitting places, water for washing their feet, drinking water, flower garlands, incense, and sandalwood paste. Text 8. After the sages were comfortably seated, the Supreme Lord Krishna, whose transcendental body protects religious principles, addressed them in the midst of that great assembly. Everyone listened silently with rapt attention. And now text 9 that we'll be ending on. Purport there. You could repeat after me behind closed mics, if you don't mind. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aho Vayam Janma Brito Labdham Kartsnyena Tatpalam Devanam Apidushpar Prapam Yad Yogeshwara Darshanam. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aho Vayam Janma Brito Labdham Kartsnyena Tatpalam Devanam Apidushprapam Yad Yogeshwara Darshanam. In the interest of time, since I'm a little late, I will just move on to the synonyms. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Lord said, Aho, Vayam, we, Janma Brita, having taken birth successfully, Labdham, obtained, Kartsnyena, altogether, Tat, of it, Palam, the fruit, Devanam, for the demigods, Api, even, Dushprapam, rarely obtained, Yat, which, Yoga Ishvara, of masters of yoga, Darshanam, the sight. Translation. The Supreme Lord said, now our lives are indeed successful, for we have obtained life's ultimate goal, the audience of great yoga masters, which even demigods only rarely obtain. Great yoga masters. Nice. Where's the masters of yoga Ishwara? Great masters of yoga. I don't think they're talking about doing handstands and backflips, but interesting. Despite the great privileges the demigods enjoy as administrators of the universe, they rarely see such sages as Narada and Vyasadeva. How much rarer, then, must it be for earthly kings and mere cowherds to see them? Here Lord Krishna, identifying himself with all the kings and others who had assembled at Samanta Panchaka, speaks on their behalf. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshudunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So it's funny that this is the verse that I happen to be speaking on. I just recently came upon another verse that is related that struck me to the core. It goes, Yat Sevaya Bhagavata Kutos Tasya Madhudvisha Rati Raso Bhavetti Bra Vyasayor Padanard Narnada. Forget the ending part, but it's every once in a while for me reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, I come upon certain verses that stick out in a big way. The Bhagavatam is so vast, and there's so many different topics covered and different intricate stories that some seem to be kind of random or unrelated to the overall scheme, but it's always kind of bolstering the main idea of devotional service. But still, it's vast. We're talking about 12 volumes and thousands of verses. And every once in a while you're surfing in that beautiful ocean of Bhagavatam, you come upon a particular, I would say perhaps rare creature of sorts that is extremely valuable and strikes you in a certain way because of its beauty. And for me, this verse was one such rare beauty. And part of the reason why is because it seemed to condense the essential message of the Bhagavatam, or the essential means through which we can attain devotional service, the goal, into a very succinct and power-packed verse. And so without further ado, that verse is, I believe it's in the third canto. I could pull it up, but it says something basically that by serving the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the Supreme Lord. And to me, that summed it all up, right? In that love of Godhead, which of course, ecstasy, bliss, happiness are concomitant factors, is the goal of life. And in one sense, everybody is trying to achieve that goal, whether they know it or not. But here, in this particular verse of the Bhagavatam, we see what is the actual means to attain that goal. And it's being said that service to the spiritual master, to the guru, to the yoga Ishvara, as is being described here, the master of yoga, is that means through which we can attain bliss, we can attain love for Krishna, we can attain the ultimate goal of life, which is freedom from material illusion and complete absorption in the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see here that Krishna is showing by example. He's praising these great sages, these yoga Ishwaras, very appreciative of their presence. And so if Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is speaking in this way, has this level of feeling of respect and appreciation for these yoga Ishwaras, then what to speak of ourselves, right? And how much more should we go out of our way to not only show respect, but to imbibe the mood and mission of these great teachers. So I always like to condense things into very practical and essential terms, because I feel that life is a long battle and there's so many random occurrences and different things that could happen throughout it that could throw us off track. But to have a kind of pinpointed goal or destination has been very helpful in my life. And here we're being shown that actual point that we should always be striving towards, no matter what happens, is the service of the spiritual master, is a dedication, a devotion to his mood and mission. And by so doing, even though so many things may happen in our life and so many unexpected twists and turns, by having that focal point that we revolve around, we can always be sure to be moving towards our own ultimate satisfaction and ultimately attaining real success. It's kind of reminiscent of the Bhakti Center's logo. I don't know if anyone's ever looked at it deeply, but you can kind of see it, and I guess it's Ananda Bihari's picture, that you have this one central unit, and from that unit, all these emanations. And it's almost like the sun and the planets going around it. So if we have that proper central unit that's giving us life and energy like the sun does, then even though we're in the midst of this very cold and dark and dead material universe, we will receive nourishment, we will receive sustenance, we'll receive protection, because we're attached, we're tethered to Hare Krishna, Ram. Hey, look at this guy. Sorry, so hard not to get distracted by this guy. Thank you. But it's a cool point. So we have this son, we have the son of the spiritual master of Krishna. And as long as we remain tethered to him, to that, then even though we're in the midst of this dark and dead material universe where the natural state is cold and lifeless, because we're tethered to that thing which is giving life, i.e., the sun or the guru, then we'll be protected, we'll be nourished, we'll be kept in the loop. We won't be flying out into outer space, and God knows what could happen out there. So I've had a few moving and kind of, to this point, life-defining meetings with my own guru. And one of the main things that he said throughout all of them to me was that for him and for his wife, what has ultimately guided their lives and brought them to the place they are today, which, mind you, at least from my perspective and many others' perspectives, is a place you want to be in terms of devotion, in terms of security, both spiritual and material. He said that the focal point has always been, what's best for my service? What's best for my service to my guru, to my spiritual master? And he said that by making that the the kind of deciding factor in all of the decisions, the big decisions that they've had to make, and the small ones as well, then they've always felt protected and ushered towards ultimate success, happiness, and things just kind of work out, right? That it's like, living life and trying to be successful in spiritual life and material life. It's kind of like a business venture, right? In that there's a lot of risk involved. There's no guarantee, where you ultimately end up. You have to sacrifice a lot. But by committing to Krishna, committing to the spiritual master specifically, then you're making them your business partner in a sense, and they'll back you up when times get rough. And instead of those rough times becoming detrimental and kind of extremely difficult without end, they'll often become the things that strengthen you to the point of evolving to different levels of spiritual realization and even material security. So that's been my experience for sure. I know that to the extent that I am allowing my life's decisions to revolve around what's best for my guru, what's best for the Yoga Ishvara, as Krishna is describing here, then to that extent I feel fortified in my practice, and I feel secure in the sense that I'm moving towards greater and greater levels of devotion, of service, of happiness, and ultimately, of course, of love for Krishna. And to the extent that I'm kind of acting on my own whims, to that extent, I feel that I am distancing myself from the sun, from that thing which gives me nourishment and happiness, and safety and security. So it's a cold and dark world out there. That's something I've been meditating on a bit recently. The fact that the material universe itself is by nature dead, by nature cold and dark, right? Isn't that if you go away from the sun, we just happen to be in this little corner here where we have a sun and certain conditions on this planet that are allowing us to flourish. But if you go away from those conditions and from the sun, then what's out there is naturally extremely cold, too cold for life to really sustain and flourish. And there's no natural nourishment that the ether, that the universe as a whole provides. So we need something to bolster our livelihood. Otherwise, we're naturally cold and decaying in the universe. And so, in the same way, we need, because we're here, because we're not in the spiritual world, we need somebody to bolster us, to sponsor us, to nourish us, so that we can develop and flourish in our spiritual lives. So that's just a little testimony about the importance of Guru, of Yoga Ishwara. Krishna himself here is saying how important these people are, and so what to speak of the importance that they should hold in our own hearts, in our own lives. So that's been my experience, and perhaps if anybody else has experiences similar, I'd love to hear about them. If anybody else has felt the coldness of setting out on one's own independently versus the warmth and the nourishment and the security of being in close connection with the Guru, Krishna. Looks like Bhakti Center Temple Room has a hand up.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Very clear, powerful, basic points. The lotus feet of the spiritual master. Somehow or other, before you came, each of us had something to say about that. Years ago, there was a football coach. Have you ever heard of Vince Lombardi?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So he was a football coach for the Green Bay Packers. And they won championship game for the whole season, best team. And he was famous for focusing on the basics as he, orchestrated the endeavor that his team was making. So right the day after they won the big championship game, he brought them all together, and they're all sitting in a room, and he said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." Starting with the very, very basics, this is a football, ridiculously basic. But Srila Prabhupada gave us the chanting of Krishna's holy name. And I've been battling my mind lately because my rounds for a while have been a little scrambled. I'm chanting a few rounds here and a few rounds here, there. So I'm just praying to Srila Prabhupada to get back to the basics. And for 22 days in a row, I sat down in one place and chanted for an hour and a half, which is like, even doing it once was just like, for me, miraculous, because I've been so scattered in my chanting. And then for the last 3 days, I've been chanting for 2 hours, sitting in one place. And I'm telling you, and we're talking about the nosebleed section of like, really turning up the heat and making this a super priority. And it's not easy to gather 2 hours in the day, right? It's not, I mean, really, we have so many things to drawing our attention and so many desires and so many responsibilities. But I'm amazed that Krishna's allowed me to do this. And I'm not telling you this to brag about it, but I'm desperately trying to hang on to this habit that I had before and that I drifted away from, and that I'm trying to like really fiercely protect right now. Even yesterday, to get that 2 hours in yesterday was like, Krishna, only Krishna. No way I could do this on my own. I'm praying to Prabhupada to stick to the very basic thing. Let us chant the holy name. Let us give it this very, very powerful practice that is the basis of our spiritual life. Full attention, and it's based on desire. One thing that really influenced me was your spiritual master by Shasheka Prabhu, who has this thing, "Make japa great again." Have you seen the thing? And he reads out the different quotes from scripture about how precious the benefit of the chanting the holy name, and how, and then he sits down and he chants Hare Krishna with other devotees. And you're hearing about coming together. All these guys came together, even the sages at Namasharanya, they came together, and Prabhupada gathers us every day in the morning, at least, to like congregate. That word means like, sankirtan. It's not something we can do alone. So we meant to fortify our intelligence, as Vaisheshekha says, by hearing from scripture and hearing from each other and reminding each other about what we've been asked to do, and then encourage each other to go on keeping that priority. So I asked one sannyasi a little while ago, how are your rounds? And he said, my God, he said, I've been in this movement for decades and nobody's ever asked me that. He said, actually, I'm behind in my rounds, and he said, I've got to get it back together. I've got to, pour more energy and focus and desire into doing this nicely. So anyway, I'm prayed to Prabhupada what to say today, and that's what he gave me, and it's just personal experience, but maybe it'll encourage someone else. And at least by saying it out loud, I have to encourage myself not to be foolish. I get sloppy. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Hari Prabhu. It's amazing. I've known you for almost 12 years now, and I still get new anecdotes from time to time. The Vince Lombardi one was the first time I've ever heard that, and that's really good. I really like that one. This one time, we were in a Zoom meeting with Vaisheshika Prabhu, and there was an icebreaker. I think I've told this before, so I'll keep it brief. But there was an icebreaker question: what would the name of your autobiography be? And we all gave these like lofty answers, like the mercy case, and calls us mercy, and all this humble stuff. And he said that his would be Rice Dal Chapatis, a life lived in mastering the basics. And I thought that was so. I mean, we're all blown away. Like, wow, it really speaks to the different level that some people are on. And so, yeah, the basics, like Bhaktisiddhanta said, don't try to be a great devotee. Just try to be a good devotee. Chant your rounds in the morning. Don't be late to Bhagavatam class. That stuff. Okay.
Was that for Bhima Prabhu who just joined? The last instruction?
It was for myself, actually.
Okay.
But
Jamuna Jaya had her hand up before Bhima. Jamuna Jaya, followed by Bhima, please.
Hare Krishna, Anupama. Thank you for class. I was giggling to myself because no matter what class you give and no matter what topic, you always either glorify your spiritual master or Prabhupada or both. So you always, always, always exemplify this, no matter what you're speaking on. But today the service was, your talk was directly on that. But there are two things I want to reflect back. One is what a great thing to remember, this outer space, that outer space is cold and it's dead, and we strive as human beings. What is that? Feels like we have to go to the outer space, and so many movies about being the outer space, and that really is so symbolic of us as a society. We're striving for something that's cold and dead. We're like spending so much time and so much money literally blasting, risking your life to something that will not serve you. So when you said that, that just really like resonated. I saw the irony in the human condition. But then to the Guru Dev, yeah, I am in so unworthy and but so full of Krishna give me so much mercy that I get to associate with my Guru Dev like twice a week, really quite intimately, and just having been with him in India. And I can just say that when you said they use the word warmth, that, and my Guru Dev quite well, the warmth that he exudes and the encouragement that he gives. He just gave me some real good encouragement personally when I was feeling like I suck. I'm not like everybody else. I can't get it together. I look terrible and I'm sorry. My T-lock is a mess. He gave me the sweetest encouragement to stay the course. So I just want to reflect that. It really is such a balm of sunlight when the spiritual master turns to you and gives you their blessings that, of course, I'm not worthy to get, but he gives it to me anyway. Hare Krishna, sorry, rattle on.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a good point in the sense also that you can't get too close to the spiritual master either. Just like you can't get too close to the sun. You have to be like keep the right distance. And if you're in that sweet spot, where it's like you still have that respect for the power and you're not getting too comfortable there, then it creates this beautiful dynamic, like you're saying, where the warmth can be so nourishing and beautiful and just what you need. So safe. Safe is a big one for sure. I always feel so safe in the presence of my spiritual master. Like, yeah, there's just no doubt that I'm in the right place right now. And so, yeah, it's a delicate dance, I suppose. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu, here he comes. Is he? Nice. Got the carrot going.
Yeah, that's can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the carrot. The ability, not the ability, but the chances that we have to get the association of our spiritual master or even advanced devotees brings about a what you said, a feeling of safeness, almost like a child, knowing that he's home and he's with those who unconditionally love him by virtue of just being the child, of being the child. So, you know, we we understand that Prabhupada, Vaisheshika, Radhanath Maharaj, all the um, devotees who have given their heart and soul to you know get us to remember Krishna, and I think that we don't ever actually hardly talk about the idea of, hold on, Krishna as our father, as our protector. We're like, oh, well, we shouldn't be like, give us today our daily bread, our Father who art in heaven. We've all got these higher rases we talk about. Oh, we'll never get there. We'll never begin to understand the essence of prema or vipar lambra, et cetera, et cetera. But I think if we just remember that Krishna is our Father, that Krishna has given us all the good that I'm sorry, I can't concentrate too much. I got horses banging. Has given us all the grace that we have gotten, and that we can expect. That Krishna will. That Krishna loves us. We're always like, oh, love of God. I don't have any love for God, and blah blah blah. And I'm disheartened because I didn't do enough rounds, and I haven't, I didn't go to the temple this week, or we're always thinking that. But the thing is that Krishna is always with us. Krishna is not only in his holy name, but he's also in the remembrance that we should be calling out to him like a father, that we should understand that this is like what you said, that a very astute thing that we should remember is that the horse just took the hat off my head and he just ran off with it.
And you're
That
keeping your camera off. Come on, Bhima Prabhu.
I,
Unblurred. We want to see all the pastimes.
oh, you can't see the background?
It's blurred.
Oh, I don't know how to. Oh, hold on. Oh, you guys are missing it. That horse just took the hat right off my head when I was trying to be erudite. He made me look like a fool.
It keeps you
Um,
humble.
yeah.
Don't get too esoteric. A follow-up
Yes.
question
Yeah.
for Anupam Prabhu. This valuable sentiment for Krishna as our father, this appeal to Krishna as our father, how come it's not in one of the primary rasas? where you can have Krishna as your son, but somehow Krishna as your parent is not in one of those rasas. Is it a philosophical deviation to appeal to Krishna as our father? He says in the scripture that I am the seed given father, but how come it's not included in the five primary rasas?
Well, I guess Krishna doesn't have any kids in Goloka Vrindavan because he's only like a little boy himself.
That's right.
But yeah, I've thought about that. It's like, where are the kids at up there for Krishna? But he does have kids in Dwarka, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. That question may be a bit above my pay grade, but maybe one of our scholars here could give an erudite answer.
Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, that's you.
I'm not a scholar at all. Just struggling to follow what Anupam Prabhu so beautifully mentioned in the class today, following our gurus and the Vaishnavas and making that as the center of all our decisions. So that is a point that really stuck with me. How can we make the instruction of our guru, our guru's teachings as the center of all the decisions we make in our life? In one sense, we often make this bifurcation between material and spiritual life. But when we, in our so-called material life, even in that material life, we try to base our decisions on the teachings of the guru, then actually it becomes spiritual. That is what dovetailing is in one sense. So this whole way of seeing material and spiritual, actually, when we really follow the teachings, those two become so harmonized that they all become spiritual in one sense. So it was a nice reminder. So thank you for that, Prabhu. And regarding the question, um, my 2 cents would be that when the relationship between a child and a parent, in that the parent is the servitor in many ways. The parent serves the child. The parent, tries to do so many things so that the child can be brought up nicely and things like that. So the direction of service is from the parent to the child. And we know that in the spiritual world, Krishna is forever a child. Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam cha. So he's Purana Purusha, he's the oldest of the oldest, but at the same time, he's Navayauvanam. He's a young kid, right? So yeah, so I guess that there is the service aspect is there, which but in the material world where Krishna does grow old, he does have children, as we see in the Bhagavatam, Pradyumna and Aniruddha and so many others. So yeah, I don't know. This is just my speculation based on what I've learned. I may be wrong. Please correct me. Others, so many other senior devotees here. Yeah, I feel humble actually speaking here like this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I would like to add something very quickly. Can I
Go
do
ahead.
that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I think, at least for myself, in pondering the idea that Krishna has given me everything, every cell in my body, every breath that I take, these are gifts of the Father. These are gifts of the Creator, but not so far away as the Creator. But more close as I'm your Father, and I'm going to guide you, and I'm going to instruct you the right way to be. And this is expressed, of course, through the spiritual master, who takes on a paternal role. And in that, you will have corrections, you will have punishments, but you also have, as a child, an extreme gratefulness. You're grateful. You start to become grateful when you start to realize that all this is coming from Krishna. And you also start to realize not only all the good that's coming from Krishna, but you realize all the so-called bad reversals of fortune are also, as a devotee, if you're sincere, these reversals of fortune are coming from Krishna. Why? as a father, he is doing this to help us learn that he will allow us to, um, you know, experience the pain of a wrong decision, or uh, you know, be corrected by material nature, even though he'll buffer it. Um, so I don't know. I think that the paternal role, um, is best exemplified by the spiritual master, that we do not get too close to, but at the same time we stand before like children receiving guidance. So I just thought I'd mention that, and it also, once again, reminds us of how grateful we should be for our very existence. In doing so, in being grateful, just the sentiment of being grateful is a form of chanting, because who are you grateful for? Krishna and Radharani and the spiritual master all at once. So if you can breathe in deep and say, wow, what a wild, strange adventure I'm on as a devotee, and this is all due to Krishna's grace, I think that it really helps us with this constant remembrance of Krishna at all times. Haribo.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Krishna Kumari has a hand up.
Well, we're going to see Radha Muralidhar soon, so I just didn't know if I'd speak before or after, but quickly, just thinking of Super Soul. Like we hear of Santa, he knows what you're doing. It's like Krishna is in our heart as Super Soul, always knowing, and also sending us messages through devotees, even through, readings in the Bhagavatam. So, Jai Shri Shri Radha Muralidhar.
Thank you, Krishna Kumari. Thank you, Anupam Prabhu. Wonderful class. All glories to Vaisheshika Prabhu, to the spiritual masters. It's darshan time. Turn on your cameras if you can. I want to see your rooms and kitchens, your smiles. Thank you, Karuna Nimai Prabhu. We can tell it was you blowing the conch shell by the sound of it. Okay, Jagannath Gopal and Prithu, taken darshan of Shri Shri Radha Muladhar Shri Guru Chandra. That's very inspiring. Okay. Are they reciting the prayer? We can't hear it. We can see Srila Prabhupada. And remember who we are doing all this for. We're trying to please our Guru and the Vaishnavas, and ultimately Krishna. Guru is the medium that presents our service before the Lord. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the Afterglow. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for your association. Is Anupam Prabhu still here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
great, great. Do you have a few minutes, Prabhu? Maybe we have some questions
Yes, please.
or reflections.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, dear devotees, please go ahead. I had one reflection, but I forgot. I'll say it. No? Okay. Let's
Well,
see.
I can ask a question if no one else has. So Anupam Prabhu, how do we, this is a common question, but it's always there in my mind. How do we, stay focused through the mass distraction, to the tools of mass distraction that keep going on, AKA the smartphone?
Yeah. You have to have a better plan than Maya's plan. What's the quote? It's something like um, uh, plan beats power or something like that. Where like who it's not always the smartest person or the
Yeah, a
strongest.
foolish person with a plan can beat a genius who's without a plan.
Right,
It's the
exactly.
Sheshaka Prabhu again. Something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
that's of course where I get all my stuff from, in case you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, that's been my experience for sure. It's not just a saying, but we have to have a better plan, a bigger plan than Maya's plan. Otherwise, yeah, she'll take over. But what's that Adi Purush Prabhu always says, that when we wake up, then at this Maya's already gotten up, chanted her rounds, has tea locked on, and is ready to go. And so we just had to have a system in place that we can adhere to. Same with anything we want to be successful at, whether it's investing or work, business. If there's a system that we can develop and employ, and we adhere to it with discipline every single day, then it's automatic. It's automatic that we advance and we get closer to reaching whatever those goals are. And so luckily we have the plan already laid out for us by Prabhupada himself. The Acharya has given the plan that we chant 16 rounds, preferably in the morning. And we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear CC, we preach, we distribute his books in some way, and distribute prasadam, like Adi Purush Prabhu is on his way to do right now. Things like that. If we have a system with those things as the pillars of it, and we adhere to it with discipline every day, according to our own proclivity, our own adhikari, then we win over time. Vaisheshika
Yes.
would give the football reference, run the clock out on the field. It's a reference to American football where if a team is ahead and they can keep the ball themselves until the time on the clock runs out, then they win. They don't even give a chance to the other team to get the ball back and have the opportunity to defeat them. In the same way, if we could just maintain that system for our lifetime, whatever it is, even if it's something small, if we could just maintain it and run out the clock on the field, then we win. So,
Thank you, Anupam Prabhu. Getting
That's
organized
awesome,
and
Prabhu.
signing up for
Thank
some
you.
service, some accountability. Yeah. Taking inspiration from devotees like Adipusha Prabhu. That mobile phone is not a threat to Adipusha Prabhu, for sure.
yeah.
He doesn't scroll.
Not once.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Anupam Prabhu. Wonderful offering to the
Adi Purush
Lord.
Prabhu does a Krishna scroll. He doesn't do an infinite scroll on his phone.
Yeah,
He
Krishna
doesn't know
scroll.
how to use a smartphone.
Yeah,
That's the
that's what I
only
was.
thing that keeps him straight and narrow. He has no idea what he has in his hand. He speaks in one hand, and out the other end comes words from somebody else far away, and he's fascinated simply by the fact that there's a voice coming out this little box. That's where Adi's at.
Yeah, Adipusha Prabhu and his phone is a separate lila, separate mood. Has to be included into the Bhagavatam.
He's smart. He keeps it just as simple as it can be. It's just a football.
Yeah, yeah. Flip phone.
Yeah. And don't think it won't get worse. I mean, what we have now in terms of how addicting and distracting it is, it's nothing compared to 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The once AI gets involved and we're more involved and studies continue going on as to how to keep us more glued to a screen. And this
Yeah.
is just, this is, we're just, Instagram, social media, it's barely 10 years old, what to speak of when it's 20, 30. I mean, so we have to have a system that we're adhering to now because it'll get harder and harder to develop and maintain one as Kali Yuga progresses.
Yeah, I was talking to Garangi yesterday, and we were like, "So, what generation is Ram? Is he like, what is he, Zoomer, Shmoomer? What is it? There's so many of them now." And Garangi says, "No, he's AI generation. AI. He'll grow up when AI will be reigning. Now it's
Mm.
just starting, but then it'll be in full strength." So Ram, there he is, ready for an AI takeover. He fell asleep while Bhima was talking. Bhima Prabhu, thank you so much. I was trying to put him to sleep, but then you started talking and he fell asleep right away. Thank you. Okay. All right, Anupam Prabhu, all glories to you and to Vaisheshika Prabhu. All glories to all the devotees on this call. All glories to Adi's hat.
I think Narottam Nitai Prabhu had raised his hand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Narottam Nitai, please.
Nonetheless, I just wanted to say Naveen Nidra Prabhu has a course on Udemy on book distribution if anybody's interested. I put it in the chat. Garang.
Okay, can you put that in the WhatsApp group so we can
Sure.
go back to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Narottam Nitai Prabhu. Okay. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. We need a childlike person who could say Hare Krishna. Hold on. Is Prita Maharaj around? Jagannath Gopal?
Let me check. Prithu? Prithu? Hare Krishna ಅನ್ಬೇಕು ಬರ್ತಿ ಬಾ 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 ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅನು ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಂದ ಸೇ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹರಿ ಬೋಲ್ ಹರಿ ಬೋಲ್ Okay, he did
Okay.
something.
He did great. Thank you. Thank you, Prita Prabhu. Thank you very much. We love you. We need you. Come again tomorrow. Chant nicely. Stay busy in bhakti. Remember the Guru, and everything will be all right. Hare Krishna.